on the way to the quick-to-hear icon, the healing herb of Mount Athos. I was walking along a narrow path by the sea from the monastery of Saint Pantaleimon to the monastery of Dohairi, where the famous miraculous icon of the Mother of God, quick to hear, is kept. This sacred image was painted in the 10th century during the life of the abbot, Saint Niphon. After many centuries, in 1664, a monk named Nil, walking at night with a torch on his way to the refectory, heard a voice from the icon of the Virgin Mary hanging above the door, warning him not to walk there with a lit torch and not to smoke the icon. However, the monk ignored the warning and continued to walk, causing the icon to be smoked. And as a result, he was punished with blindness. Day and night, he prayed before the image of the Mother of God, repenting and asking for forgiveness and healing. The Virgin Mary heard his prayers and informed him of her forgiveness and the restoration of his sight. She instructed him to tell all the brethren about this mercy. From that moment, the icon was named Quick to Hear, because it grants mercy and fulfills the requests of all who approach it. Through this holy icon of the Quick to Hear, the Virgin Mary has performed many healings. She restored sight to the blind, healed the paralyzed. Particularly remarkable were the healings from epilepsy. Many were saved from shipwrecks and delivered from captivity. Even now, the Mother of God continues to fulfill her promise, providing quick help and consolation to all who approach her with faith. When we, together with pilgrims from Kiev, visited this holy image about 10 years ago, the lamp above the icon suddenly cracked, and it seemed as though the sound of clanking metal was heard. I then thought that this was a bad omen for all of Ukraine. It was like the sound of tank tracks on the paved roads of the homeland. And it indeed came true. And now, we pray again, before this miraculous image. And we were granted the opportunity to communicate freely with the Mother of God. We made petitions for all who had asked us to pray for them, for those in trenches, in captivity, in hospitals, in factories, for the suffering, and for waiting mothers, for the children who are waiting for their fathers. We believe that the Mother of God will help all those whose names were spoken or even thought of in this small chapel. It was here, when the brethren treated us to Turkish delight, and when we approached the grave of Elder Grigory, I remembered my earlier meeting on the way to the miraculous icon at the monastery, with a strange herbalist, a healer, who was serving at the monastery. It was said that the abbot Elder Grigory highly valued this herbalist, because this healer treated the brethren and knew the Athonite herbs. The monks didn't need to visit doctors, as they had their own healer, the herbalist. This meeting with the Athonite herbalist occurred 25 years ago, when the world still did not know mobile phones, and pilgrimage groups on Athos were a rare sight. I was troubled by allergies and several other illnesses that had come to me during my first 10 years of priestly service. And so, walking along the path by the sea from the monastery of Pantaleimon to the monastery of Dohairi, among the olive trees, an elderly monk in a cassock walked beside me. Later, I learned his name was Nikolai. His cell was located near the monastery. He spoke several languages well, and we started talking first about the feast, the liturgy, and then about personal matters. I started talking about my ailments, and he, in turn, bent down, picked a plant along the path, and said, "Take this and heal yourself with it." "What is this herb?" I asked. "This is seaside plantain," he answered. "Athos plantain. There are different varieties, and this one grows along the paths of Athos by the sea. It is a special herb used by old monks. The elders would walk here praying, and these leaves of this healing plant grow along the path. Pluck and wipe your face with it, cross yourself, and eat it. And tell me, what do you recommend for allergies?" "I am a herbalist," my mysterious companion replied. "I live here near the monastery, healing the sick brothers of the monastery. I wanted to retreat into the mountains, but Elder Grigory wouldn't let me, saying, 'You are needed here, heal us.'" I was intrigued. "Can I ask you, what would you recommend for treating allergies?" He answered, "The same as I pointed out to you before. Here, plantain, pick it, and heal yourself with it." "Wait, what about the stomach? Which herb would you recommend for that?" "Also plantain," he answered. "And the liver?" "Also plantain," he replied. "Plantain again?" I asked. I began to list all the ailments I knew, and he kept answering, "Plantain." "How can this be? Don't other herbs help?" "They do help, but I prefer plantain for my practice, especially the seaside plantain that grows along the paths of Athos. Pick it and use it. You can put it in a salad, dry it, or brew it as tea. Walk along the path. Pick it like I do. At that moment, the elder bent down and picked another fresh leaf. When it's fresh, when it's sprouting, it's very useful. In April or May, if you eat it, you will live to be 100. I was walking, listening to the elder, and marveling at how simple it all was. No need to pay doctors. No need to buy expensive medicine. Just walk along the blessed paths of Athos by the sea and gather healing herbs. Simple plantain. Since that conversation, I started collecting plantain. Wherever I go, wherever I see it, I remember my conversation with the elder. I pick some plantain, cross myself, and eat it. Since then, by God's grace, I haven't been ill. I chew it and keep it in a small bag.